scab for the bosses, don't listen to their lies. Us poor folks haven't got a chance unless we organize. Which side are you on?
Do you know what my album of the year was?
Your album of the year?
Yeah, my album of the year. My personal album of the year.
No, what was it?
Kind of political, but mostly sad.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah, it was a pretty good one. I liked it.
It's a Grammy winner in my heart.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The Phoebes.
Yeah, and personally, I will say that is a higher honor and a better award than a Grammy, because the Grammys are rigged and shitty, in my opinion. Is
perfect.
Yeah, flawless and the most important one, and should be held at the highest regard.
I mean, I would say I feel like you do have, like, you put in a lot of like thought in your music analyses.
Thank you.
So,
I do.
Yeah,
I really do. For those of you that don't know, I am writing I guess, dissertation. I don't know. I didn't go to college, so I don't know what a best term would be. Essay, perhaps, on the complexities of Kesha's 20 insert year here album, Animal.
Yeah.
So someday that will be released, and I will probably read it on our bonus episodes or something.
Truly. Not only will it be released, but I feel like we should also drop the actual dissertation on Patreon.
Yeah. I'll drop the Google Doc.
Exactly.
But then you can really drop the doc. Then you can really know my music analyses brain.
I want to do a essay on how vampires have always been gay.
Oh yeah.
Like, and like throughout all of history, like, because you have like obviously like Bram Stoker. Bram Stoker was so fucking gay. Like,
oh my god.
He had a huge crush on Walt Whitman. Like he like wrote love letters to Walt Whitman. And also like Dracula's just always been like a gay icon.
So gay.
And then like when you move even into like modern times, you have like just how the vampires in Twilight and even like more modern vampire stories are portrayed. It's very like queer coded-ish in a way, you know? Like they're very clean. They're very like,
right.
They dress really well.
Yeah.
You know, there's just a lot of like, yeah.
We have True Blood.
Yeah. Vampire Diaries.
Gay as hell. Vampire Diaries. Yeah.
Even if they're like air quotes straight, like they have the gay vibes for sure.
Yes. I will say, I refuse to believe that Edward Cullen was a virgin.
Me too.
You're telling me that man was alive for, I don't know, 200 years or whatever and never fucked?
Didn't fuck one time.
Like, how much of a loser do you have to be to literally live for like not only multiple decades but like centuries and not get any pussy?
I love to like, ooh.
Hello.
I love too that like the show and the book like justify it by being like, well, he's just traditional. It's not that he like didn't have the chance to. He just refused.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know.
He just refused until he met a high schooler.
Yeah, until he met a high schooler.
That's what sealed it for him.
A high schooler who like I don't know was like fine. I guess I don't know. They don't really seem like they have that deep of a connection, but
not really at all. No.
And that's coming from somebody who loves Twilight. Like I love Twilight.
Oh yeah, it's iconic.
It's fantastic.
Anyway, welcome to our podcast, Twicast, where we dissect the movies and the books. Twilight.
Honestly, down.
I also bonus episode. No, obviously this is Remarks, and I am Phoebe,
and I am Taylor,
and we love you.
Boy, do we.
So
almost as much as I love getting a large amount of like toxic plastics and burning them in my front yard.
Yes.
Into the environment. And
that is like the number one thing that I love the most.
Yeah, for sure.
That's kind of my life philosophy really, and what I strive to like accomplish the most in my life is just the larger and larger pile of plastics that I can burn in my yard, the more I feel like an accomplished person.
Truly. Y'all thought that joke was going away forever?
Never.
I'm bringing it back, baby.
Never. Because as we all know, scientists have been lying to us, and really when you burn the plastics, the particles gather up like the pollutants in the air, and it like melds them all together and it gets rid of them. It cleanses.
Yeah, the earth cleans itself.
The earth.
Yeah.
No, it does. And it does that by using melted plastics.
Truly, yeah. No, melted plastics are like, if you listen to the episode a few weeks ago, what Phoebe said about mushrooms, melted plastics are even better. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Love it.
Today we are going to talk to you about big
insert.
Big blank.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm
I
excited. This week's episode topic is brought to you by a vintage advertisement that I saw on Twitter. This ad from the 1980s promoting simply the concept of cheese itself is like one of the funniest things I've ever fucking seen, and is just like the most hilarious look into what PSAs were like in the 80s. So I'm going to play that for you.
I'm so ready.
Let me get it pulled up. Here it is.
Cheese, glorious cheese. Order Italian food with real cheese. Order Mexican food with real cheese. Cheese, glorious cheese. Order sandwiches with real cheese. Whatever you order in your favorite restaurant, real cheese makes it better. It's cheese, marvelous cheese, fabulous cheese. Glorious cheese.
It's catchy as hell.
Yeah, so that's just beautiful. Literally a PSA that just says cheese, glorious cheese. So how could you not?
I mean, that's very, I love that, like, was that, maybe you'll get into this with your article, but was that like funded by the government? Like, were they just trying to get people to like be into cheese?
Oh, we will talk about it.
Oh, okay.
We will talk about it.
The plot thickens.
The plot does thicken. So
like cheese, you
like,
could say. Oh.
So I sent this video to my family group chat, and I was like, oh my god, this is so funny. And my parents obviously were alive in the 80s, and my dad was like, oh haha, yep, I remember that. And so then he sent me this PSA from the 70s, which y'all might remember if you were around.
Bang, bang, bang. Oh, howdy, partner. Time for timer. Do you ever get that hungry feeling after school? Boy, I do. I'm so hungry, I could eat a wagon wheel. When I'm slow on the draw and I need something to chaw, I hanker for a hunk of cheese. When my 10 gallon, that's a feeling.
Did you ever, have you ever heard that before?
Not once, but I
It's-
love hanker for a hunk of cheese.
Yes. So the video is of this like little sentient hunk of cheese
This little freak.
with this fucking freak with like a cowboy hat on. Anyway, and so Taylor, I'm sure you remember the Got Milk campaign.
Yes, that one I do recall.
Burned into your brain
Oh,
forever,
yeah.
I'm sure.
All the fucking like athletes that I didn't know when I was a kid,
Uh-huh.
just being like, I drink milk, got milk or whatever,
And
like with
you
the
should
milk
too.
mustaches. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, from the 90s and early 2000s. As you were saying, this was a campaign where the dairy industry got celebrities to pose with a milk mustache painted on their upper lip, which I always found it disgusting, by the way.
Yeah.
Even as a child, I was like, ew.
Well, because I'm sure that wasn't real milk.
It
like,
wasn't.
It had to be fake.
It was paint.
Yeah, because milk doesn't look like that when
No.
you get it on your lip.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And they had a glass of milk in their hands and the words "Got Milk?" plastered on a poster. These posters were hung in schools, libraries, and there was like commercials on TV about Got Milk with a fucking celebrity. People such as Britney Spears, Elton John, and even Kermit the Frog
Yeah.
did this shit. It was a really weird ad campaign, and as we were saying, it wasn't selling any particular product, but really just promoting the concept of milk in general, encouraging people, but mostly kids, to drink more milk. So these type of ads are called PSAs, and I don't really think that we have PSAs anymore, like, at least not like we used to.
Yeah.
It's definitely different, and I think it's more sly these days. You're not getting cheese, glorious cheese PSAs as much anymore. But that's a topic for a different day. PSA stands for Public Service Announcement. TV stations used to have to dedicate a certain amount of time to children's public service announcements. So this could be about like nutrition, wearing seatbelts, stranger danger, whatever. And so how did we get to having PSAs with a sentient hunk of cheese dancing around?
I mean, capitalism in its finest form, really.
Oh, truly, truly the greatest gift that capitalism ever gave us was the hanker for a hunk of cheese, man.
Truly, yeah.
Yeah. In his little cowboy hat and boots.
Yeah, I remember, and this is not on topic per se, but I do remember like the drug PSAs are like fucking ingrained in my brain.
Yes.
Because like you remember that marijuana one where the girl was like deflated on the couch?
Yes. I'll
that
never
one
forget.
I feel like I like remember so vividly.
Yep.
And I mean, it didn't help. Like I have done plenty of drugs, but
I was like, I want to melt in the couch.
Yeah,
that sounds awesome.
Actually, and like I want to be what she's on.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I want her high.
There was also, I remember this PSA where it was like this kid and the guy, they're like at a cafe or something, and the dude's like, we're about to go smoke weed, and the kid was like, nah man, I'm gonna go study. And yeah.
I don't know if this is a real PSA, but the one that was around like on Twitter a while ago where it's like, are they smoking or are they gay? Because they like, it's like these two guys that go into the bathroom together and then they like to smoke cigarettes, I guess, and then it like freeze frames and it's like, are they smoking or are they gay, as they like close the bathroom door.
Oh my god.
That shit fucking hilarious.
That's amazing. Okay, last one I will talk about, and then we'll get on to what my subject's actually about. But remember the Hillary Duff don't use gay as like an insult one?
Yes.
Where she's like, oh, blah, 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 don't say gay. That's mean. That would be like me saying, that's so girl wearing a skirt as a top.
I honestly don't remember that part, but
it's golden.
That's beautiful.
Anyway, so cheese PSAs, milk PSAs. During World War I, the government sent over canned and powdered milk to U.S. soldiers fighting overseas to aid with malnutrition during the war. Which cow milk can be good in a pinch when you don't have access to other nutritional foods and you need a quick, easy, and filling boost. Especially like the canned or the powdered stuff doesn't spoil, so it's an easy way to give you the nutrition that you need in like a little punch and just like get it over with. And so during this time, the large uptick in milk products being purchased by the government encouraged farmers to focus more on this one product, dairy. And so they scaled down their other crops and livestock to work on producing more milk or like milk adjacent products. But when the war ended, the need for milk dropped. And so this left farmers and the U.S. with a huge surplus of milk. And this is where the advertisements for milk and other dairy products began. In the 1940s, schools had educational, heavy air quotes here, materials promoting the nutritional benefits of milk and encouraging children to drink up to 4 glasses of milk a day.
Jesus Christ.
Which is like kind of a fuckload of milk.
Yeah, like that might be a little too much milk there.
That's
champ.
like what? 16 plus 16, I can't do math.
32 ounces?
Yeah, of milk. That's a lot.
Seems like a lot. I don't know what the average daily intake of milk is supposed to be.
Yeah, because that is a lie. It's definitely you should not be drinking 4 glasses.
No, I mean, really, I'm sure you'll get to this, but humans really shouldn't drink cow milk often anyway, you know? But, yeah.
In 1946, when the school lunch program was developed, milk became a required part of children's daily meals. And this was, like, not even encouraged, this was literally put in place by the government. They said you must require milk to be a part of the required daily meal for children.
They fucking force them to drink it at gunpoint.
Like, drink the milk.
Drink the fucking milk.
Which always made me so mad when I was in school because I don't like milk. I never did. And I just was like, I honestly would just love like water.
Water would
just
be
like
cool.
some water.
I feel like when I was in school, we did eventually have some Tampico.
Yep.
Which was lit when we had that because that's what everybody got because milk was kind of fucking gross. But Yeah, no, I mean, for a long time, I remember in elementary school, it was kind of just always milk.
Yes. So the surplus of milk and other dairy products still remained. There was mountains of cheese that were stored in caves. Literally, there was like caves that just had like shelves and shelves of fucking massive wheels of cheese. Like,
Jesus.
Truly.
Hey, over yonder, I got them. There's a cheese cave if you want to go check it out.
We struck cheese. The government bought up massive amounts of the contents of these cheese caves and sent them into schools, to the military, and to other countries as, like, nutritional aid, I suppose. The government was spending around $2 billion a year buying up surplus dairy products and redistributing them. So this was, like, cheese, milk, powdered milk, whatever. Which is fucking crazy.
I mean, yeah, I know that the government's always been real big on the fucking farmer subsidies and stuff, but yeah, no, they defs would spend that much, I guess.
And so when Reagan became president in the 80s, he decided to cut dairy spending and direct this money towards making missiles to kill communists instead.
Of course, why wouldn't he?
There's nothing else better to spend your money on.
Love it. Love a Reagan.
Always making good decisions, that man.
Of course.
Although, I don't disagree. Like, he's an idiot and obviously was doing this for dumb reasons, but also we should not have been spending $2 billion in fucking milk surplus shit. Like,
truly, yeah. Maybe
we just let the big agriculture eat that one. I don't know. Anyway, so this cut to dairy funding pissed off the dairy farmers, of course. And they lobbied Congress to help them continue pushing cheese and milk in another way, was something called a checkoff. A checkoff? Not Chekhov, Taylor. I saw your little twinkle in your eye.
Like the gun.
Like the gun? A checkoff is essentially a tax paid by farmers, or more typically the Department of Agriculture. The tax is a small percentage paid per unit sold, and that money goes to the big government to then pay for advertisements for dairy products or meat products. And sadly enough, it is extremely effective. Wouldn't you know?
Yeah.
So I have a quote from the Factory Farming Awareness Coalition that helps explain this. Quote, "The beef checkoff program raises sales by $5 per checkoff dollar spent. The pork checkoff program raises sales by $14 per dollar spent, and the lamb checkoff program boosts sales by a shocking $38 per dollar spent. Perhaps most notable, however, is that the dairy checkoff program led individuals to consume an additional 47 servings of dairy products in a 1.5-year span."
Jesus.
Yeah. It's kind of nuts.
Like per person, I assume? Like
yes.
God, I mean that adds up.
Yes. It's nuts. And then here's another quote from Metanomics.com. I got your Metanomics right here.
I can't. It's so dumb.
And this also is a good explanation for how this dairy and honestly just agriculture checkoffs work. Quote, "The way they work is simple. Congress slaps a small assessment on certain items, and the collected funds are used to pay for research and marketing programs that boost the goods' sales. So when animal food producers collect $1 per head of cattle, 40 cents per $100 of pork, or 15 cents per 100 pounds of dairy, the funds go to national, state, and regional marketing groups. Dairy promoters brag that since their checkoff program started in 1983, annual per capita consumption of milk has climbed 12% to 260 pounds.
Wow.
Yes.
So lots of milk being tossed around.
Oh, yeah.
One could say.
The jugs are full.
Boy are they.
Perhaps even more sinister is the fact that these checkoffs guarantee dairy farmers partnerships with large corporations such as Domino's, Starbucks, and Taco Bell to create and push dairy-heavy products. And so this is where you see, like, Domino's is like, fucking cheese mania pizza, eat it now.
Double quadruple McTwist stuffed crust
right.
with extra cheese on top and cheese in a block of cheese coming along on the side, like
dip it in the cheese sauce.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Dip your block of cheese in cheese sauce. And like Starbucks has like a Frappuccino that's like 87% milkshake or whatever, and has like a splash of coffee maybe.
I mean, I feel like cheese is like one of the, like I feel like America has like stereotypical foods that we're like obsessed with, like hamburgers, but like
yes,
cheese is like one of those things. Like
yes,
eggs and bacon is another one. Like it's like a very American thing. Like, cheese is definitely like we fucking love like cheese. Like in France, like France loves cheese.
Yes,
but like we put cheese in everything.
Yeah, it's like smothered in cheese.
Like fucking France like eats cheese with crackers and like wine.
Right.
Like they like are like cheese
They're like,
connoisseurs.
Oh, the notes of this cheese pair so well with this chablis or whatever.
And we're just like, oh, you got literally any dish? Let's fucking cover it in cheese. Like,
you eating an apple? Put some cheese on that.
Fucking cheese on it, like a Kraft single slapped on it.
Have you ever done that where you like slap and it flies?
Yeah.
It's so great. Oh my god. Right. So they're in bed with these fucking giant food corporations, pushing them to put more cheese and dairy and shit in their products, which is, it literally puts like one slice of Domino's Cheesy Extreme, and this is real, it's not called fucking Cheesy Extreme, but whatever. One slice puts you like over the limit. It's like twice the limit of like your daily dairy intake of what's like actually reasonable to eat as a human being.
Of course.
Yeah. And so the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, who creates the guidelines for diet and nutrition in the US, and who also is responsible for the SNAP program, which is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, has a monetary incentive to push products as well as having their hands behind the wheel of massive food service corporations. Absolutely nothing could go wrong here, right?
Oh, it never does. I 100% agree with you.
And you know who else will never do us wrong?
Not once.
Not ever.
Is it the fine folks at Anchor Podcasts?
It absolutely is. They have been nothing but wonderful to us here at Remarks Podcast.
Yes, they are not holding a gun to my head right now.
At all. Not at all.
No, not in the slightest.
Enjoy these beautiful advertisements.
Help me, ads.
Help me.
All right, we are back. And I just wanted to say that I love the smell of some freshly burning plastic in the front lawn.
Oh, man. You know how some people, like, Folgers' whole thing is like, oh, wake up to the smell of Folgers. I like to wake up to the smell of burning plastic.
Me too. Me
truly
too.
my favorite way to get the day started.
Yep. And all those liberal hippy-dippy folks want to tell you
woke
that
moralist.
They want the woke moralists, as Jordan Peterson would say, want to tell you that, I'm going Southern now, that that
it's
it
more
ain't
like
good.
They want to tell you not to burn plastic. That's my Jordan Peterson
that was good. I do a pretty good Ben Shapiro.
You do.
The woke moralists want you to believe that you are not allowed to burn plastic in your front lawn, and I just think that is absolutely unconceivable.
Ben. Well, I'm losing it. Women just really don't appreciate men these days. He sounds like he's on the verge of tears at all times.
He truly does, and
he
also
looks like he is.
Yeah, and he's also like not in good health anymore, and he's like getting up there in years, and he just sounds like more and more like decrepit every time like I hear him like do something new. Yeah. And it's Jordan Peterson, honestly, we would be stealing a page from Behind the Bastards, but it would be really funny to watch his show.
Oh my god.
On The Wire.
So insane.
For like a bonus episode or something, like watch and comment on his fucking show, because apparently it's insane. I listened to the Behind the Bastards. I haven't watched the actual show, but
I listened to that episode too, where they were like watching
like,
his show
on him,
he's quite a
guy.
he is a guy.
I hate
Certainly a
too that
man.
when I see people like just unironically like sharing his little like self-help advice and stuff, and I'm like, this guy hates women.
Yeah.
Don't share this.
There's so many people like that are like, well, and this is not even, we got to talk about milk some more, but like the TikTokification of like these little clips of like small muscly men who have podcasts who are white, who are like, I get up every day and I swallow 18 raw eggs, and also women should be forced to have my babies, and then it like goes around and people share it, and it's very
It's like, yeah, there's like a modicum of truth, and then they just like wrap it up in like a sushi roll of misogyny and like terrible grind culture stuff, and it's just like I don't
the
like,
incelification of grind culture.
it's
Although,
a huge thing. I
feel
know.
they've kind of always gone hand in hand.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely
Weirdly.
a line to be made, and maybe that's for a different podcast.
Definitely
but,
is.
like with MGTOW and everything, like very like self-improvement, like I'm a man and I don't need women, like kind of a thing that goes hand in hand with. It's weird, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about nutrition. Something that is completely not at all what we were just talking about, but
No.
you get me going on the Jordan Peterson thing, and I can't shut up about it. So you may remember the quote-unquote food pyramid from when we were kids. Do you remember that?
Boy, do I.
Oh, it was, again, something that was really strangely heavily pushed for us to never stop thinking about. And I'm
mean,
like, why?
Anybody our age, like that shit's burned into their minds from like fucking elementary school. Like,
yeah.
I think every classroom I had, like in my first 6 years of school, had the food pyramid in it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I probably was a large cause of some disordered eating for folks our age.
I would imagine.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, so, the fucking food pyramid, there was posters up on the lunchroom wall, like letting you know how much of each food group you needed to consume in order to maintain a healthy diet and like grow up big and strong. Well, guess what? It's all bullshit.
As it usually is.
In fact, that pyramid has now been changed into like another fucking pyramid, or it like at that time it then was also changed to a different pyramid, and then a different pyramid, and then now it's a whole different thing. And
Now
anyway.
it's like isn't it like a plate looking thing?
Yes,
and like,
which I will talk about.
it's like mostly the same on like all the food groups. It's like,
It
wow,
always is.
a balanced diet is actually really good for you.
Yeah.
Who would have fucking thought?
Yeah, well, and it's always like, oh, a balanced diet is whoever's like lobbying you to tell them what a balanced diet is. So the original version of the food pyramid, which was kind of more of like a pie chart, suggested only one serving of, quote, leafy green vegetables
Nice.
and 7 servings of butter or margarine
Jesus Christ.
and 4 servings of the dairy section, which they had labeled as milk, cheese, or ice cream. Have 4 servings of ice cream a day, folks.
yes. Oh, that'll
keep you
go
healthy.
well. I mean, they used to tell you that cigarettes were good for you. So,
Yes,
and
yes.
cocaine. So
Yeah, that is true. And I mean, I'm sure that a lot of us have seen that one, like, I think it was probably like Vogue magazine from like the 70s. And it's like, it has this woman drinking like an entire fucking bottle of wine every day.
Yeah.
It's so funny. But yeah, of course we know that back in like the 30s to 70s, people were complete idiots about nutrition. And so it had to be updated with better information in more modern decades, right?
You would hope.
Wrong. The pyramid was planned to be updated in 1991 to a more vegetable-heavy diet because they realized vegetables are good for you. However, meat and dairy lobbying groups came down hard on the USDA, angry with the way that the pyramid was representing their products. The USDA updated the pyramid, but still disproportionately represented meat and dairy as being more beneficial food groups. And here is a quote from the book Fitness for Dummies. Quote, some of the recommended quantities for the different types of food in the old pyramid have also come under criticism for lack of clarity. For instance, the pyramid recommends 2 to 3 servings from the protein-rich group. but this is intended to be a maximum. The pyramid recommends 2 to 4 fruit servings, but this is intended to be the minimum. So they've basically found ways to like tell the truth, but like twist it so that you're like, oh, I shall buy more meat products.
Yeah, no, I should get 3 or 4 servings of meat every day instead of like 1 if you eat meat, you know, or like protein or whatever, you know, insert protein that you eat. But like, yeah.
And so the USDA has now updated a pyramid to the plate, as you were saying, featuring vegetables and grains as like slightly larger sections than fruits and protein. Like literally, it's like a little teeny little slice bigger.
Of course.
And dairy is featured as a glass on the side of the plate, which is interesting. However, when you dive into the specifics of my plate, the USDA still recommends 3 servings of dairy a day and claims that 90% of Americans aren't getting enough dairy.
It's not.
It's so funny.
Okay.
Also,
continue.
Like, I think the majority of the population like still consumes dairy. Like, yeah, almond milk and all its little cousins and shit are making a big splash, but like when I'm at the grocery store, the amount of people that I see purchasing like gallons of milk, it's like rare. It's the percentage of cow milk people to not cow milk people is higher. Like, and it's that.
I think it's again like we were talking about this earlier. Like when you are in predominantly like leftist or queer or spaces, vegan spaces, even like you're gonna see like, in my opinion, I'm like, I don't fucking know anybody who still drinks fucking cow milk, but also I'm not like interacting with like the majority of Americans, you know, like
right and I don't think that there's anything wrong with like drinking cow milk. I don't think you're an asshole or anything, or like whatever. Just want to put that out there. Like, I don't fucking care what you eat. Do what you do. But here's why the dairy is evil. Anyway. So despite the fact that 1/4 of the U.S. population is lactose intolerant, eggs have been found to produce higher cholesterol, and red meat consumption has been definitively linked to colon cancer. Dairy and meat companies have still been pumping out information about the necessary health benefits of their products. You may remember the age-old myth that milk helps you produce calcium to have strong, healthy bones, or the incessant push that animal protein is a necessary part of your diet. Again, if you eat animal protein, that's fine. I don't care. But it's definitely not necessary.
Yeah.
A 2011 study funded by the National Cattlemen's Beef Association.
Bro, these fucking names. The names are what get me.
That's like Mr. Beefy's cattle beef time.
Mr. Meat's big meat, eating meat time, where we eat meat with meat.
Meat topped with meat. The National Cattlemen's Beef Association claimed to find no link between red meat consumption and colorectal cancer, when dozens of other studies conducted by scientists with no monetary link to the agricultural industry say otherwise.
Wait, you're going to tell me that this study might have been biased in the wrong direction, coming from Mr. Meaty's meat topped with meat?
That just seems preposterous to me.
I certainly cannot believe that.
In 2013, the Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee released a meta-analysis on dietary cholesterol, claiming that eggs did not have a link to higher cholesterol. 92% of these studies analyzed were funded by the egg industry.
Woo, of course they were.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that even, and when were these studies put out?
That one was 2013. The beef one was 2011.
I mean, yeah, and those weren't too long ago, but I just feel like it goes to show that like humans have never read anything past a headline. Like we've always just wanted to read a headline and be like, oh, so I should be eating as much fucking meat as my body weight every day.
Yeah,
hell yeah.
Like, I don't want to. Like, it's too much work, and I am so tired from doing labor all day. Let me take one sentence to figure out how to be healthy.
Yeah,
great.
No, for sure.
Thank you. Yeah, which funny that you say that, because that literally was like in this article that I was reading, they were saying, and yeah, typically people don't really read past headlines because they either don't have the time to, or just don't feel like it.
Yeah.
And so they take these things based on a headline, which is always never like, it always misrepresents the information, and just go on with that,
Yeah.
which I just thought that was
Yep.
funny. So the current website for Got Milk, it's like literally gotmilk.com, claims, quote, milk does more than build strong bones. Milk's many vitamins and minerals benefit your overall health inside and out. From disease prevention to muscle building, milk is an essential part of helping every body thrive.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was a great corporate slogan voice you just did.
Thank you. Hire me for voice acting, people.
Please, someone hire fucking Phoebe for voice acting right now.
Literally would love to.
Gun to the microphone.
Finger guns to the mic. Hopefully not for like an evil milk dairy corporation, but you know.
Take what you can get out here. Toss me a bone.
Yeah.
Hopefully a strong one from drinking milk.
Oh God. So the Got Milk website has a cheeky little infographic where you can scroll through and see the health benefits of cow milk over non-dairy options, which it just is so like, I'm just like, you sick bastards. It claims that cow milk has more nutrients and less carbs than oat milk. It's more natural than almond milk, has more vitamins than coconut milk, and is lower in fat than soy milk.
So, okay, I don't know the like if any of that is true.
Sure.
But how are you going to claim that cow milk is more natural than almond milk when like we eat almonds, like we eat plants, you know? Like
Yep.
that's something humans have always done. Whether like you have a meat diet or not, like you eat some amount of plants.
Right.
And or like, you know, nuts and things that grow from the earth. But like cows aren't related to us. How is that more I don't understand the fucking logic there. Anyway,
Yeah.
that seems like they were just like, we can't find anything that like fucking is better about cow milk than almond milk. Just put that it's more natural.
It's natural. And that the last statement about cow milk being lower in fat than soy milk could lead me to like an entire discussion about this nation's anti-fatty foods propaganda. And the fact that like fat is not bad for you.
No, I fucking watched a video about this and how sugar got fucking pushed hard against like trans fat when like as a way of like preventing like heart disease and stuff when it's actually the opposite. Like,
right. Like,
it's crazy.
Trans fats can literally help you like absorb nutrients. Like it's like
it's
aids the
wild.
body anyway. But you know, can't talk about that because we got more milk to talk about here. So I can't even begin to like discuss the abuse that factory farming puts cows through. I mean, this is a whole other like piece of this that I can't even get into here. You know, they fucking pump female cows full of hormones. They artificially inseminate them until they literally cannot produce offspring anymore. The cow is hooked up to a machine that sucks the milk out of her all day long. And, you know, she'll be used and used until she can't. And then when she's not of use anymore is then turned into meat.
Yeah.
And so, you know, not going to get more into that because what I'm not trying to do here is be like a fear-mongering vegan or whatever. We all know factory farming is evil and it's extremely abusive to animals. I don't need to tell you dirty details about it.
And that's like another like episode in and of itself,
Sure.
like talking about that part of it, but I feel like focusing on like the
corporate
industry part of it.
Yeah. So what I will tell you more is the lies of the dairy industry. And so one of the bigger lies they tell is about how natural the milk is. As we were just talking about, when they're comparing cow milk to almond milk, they're basically saying almond milk isn't as natural because there's like additives of, you know, other products or vitamins added in or, you know, whatever. And milk is just milk. They say how it's high in vitamins and nutrients without putting any additives in it. But one secret is that the additives are in the cows. These cows are pumped full of hormones. And then because of the dirty and cramped conditions of these factory farms where like disease is usually rampant, to avoid that, they pump these cows full of antibiotics. And then these antibiotics are then fed into humans through milk, cheese, and other dairy products, and probably the meat itself, which slowly lowers our ability to fight off disease on our own. and slows our or hinders our response to antibiotics when we do actually need them. And this is real. I mean,
Interesting.
truly, these antibiotics that we're getting, it's not a huge change that we'll notice, but it's this slow thing over time that it like breaks down necessary nutrients in our body, like these certain bacteria in our guts and things like that these antibiotics are killing, and then we can't fight off disease as well because the necessary bacteria in our guts is dead because we're unknowingly taking all these antibiotics.
Yeah.
And then it makes our it builds up our immunity to antibiotics, and so then when you do get an infection and you take penicillin or whatever, it doesn't work. Because we're taking antibiotics every time you drink a glass of fucking milk.
Which, 3 to 4 servings a day, baby.
Exactly, yeah. 7 servings of butter or whatever. And of course, I haven't even mentioned like the unsanitary conditions for milk itself and what the FDA guidelines allow to pass as clean and safe milk, or any food, FDA-approved food for that matter.
Don't they, diet white so you don't see like the gross shit in it.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I saw something like an article or a video or something about like milk that's not dyed, and it's like not very appealing.
Yeah.
Look that up at your own risk, I suppose. But yeah.
And there's been podcast episodes done on the FDA and how it's like not super great. And I think a lot of us who are Americans know, especially if you've like compare it to like European food, it's like, dear God, what are we eating here?
Yeah.
And so this isn't to say that the people who consume dairy or meat are bad or wrong. I have no moral qualms with the everyday person who consumes these foods. It's easier. We've been conditioned since fucking 1930 whatever to like eat meat and dairy. That's what a lot of people just base their lives around. In a lot of cultures, that's how you do it. Like, literally eat whatever you want. I don't eat meat, but I don't care what you do with your life, I know plenty of people who are healthy who eat meat and dairy. I'm in no way telling you like how to eat or what to eat, but what I am telling you is to look at what your government will lie to you about. Look at what the government is in control of and who they have to answer to at the end of the day. Because big dairy is in bed with big government, and it's pulling the strings on which studies to fund, which nutritional PSAs to run, and which foods to promote as healthy nutritional options. And question that. And question, like, I don't know, look to who is giving them money and for what.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's always like, if you follow the money, as they say, like the paper trail, you can find out some real interesting things.
Yeah, which like, obviously that's tough and we don't all have time for that. But I do think, when you do see these headlines that talk about like, chocolate milk can help you not get concussions if you play football and shit, like, just look at the footnotes of who's funding that study and maybe go from there. And same for like pharmaceuticals and all those kinds of things. Like, question everything.
Absolutely.
Finn.
Cool. Hell yeah, I love it. Well, we're gonna take another burn plastic break, and we'll be back, and I'll do my little section on some other industries.
Wahoo.
Plastic in the environment. Ooh, yeah.
We're rocking and rolling.
So back, dude.
That's a fun, like, white people phrase that I love. We're rocking and rolling.
How the heck are you?
Yeah, like when, I don't know, like, your dad, like, takes you to the hardware store and he, like, gets all the stuff he needs and he's like, we're rocking and rolling.
So true. Let's rock and roll. I feel like that was another. That was a good peak white people culture for sure.
I will also say every single time I've been going to the hardware store a lot because house.
Yeah.
And every time I go, I feel like I just like embody my father.
Yeah.
Like I just like feel like I like walk around and like talk like my dad would, and I don't even know. Like my dad says howdy a lot. Which I don't know why. He's not Southern, but he just likes the phrase howdy. And like I feel like I'll just like all of something like comes into my body and I'm like howdy to people.
I remember when I was a kid, I had Heelys because I was fucking sick, dude. And
you were getting mad sniz.
Forgot about that. Yeah, 11 years old, fucking sniz central. But yeah, we would my favorite thing to do is to go with my dad to fucking Home Depot because the floors were so smooth.
Yes.
So I'd fucking I'd be zooming around those fucking aisles. I'd run into an employee, they'd get mad, I'd bolt off. It was sick. Lit times,
So
dude.
good. The lighting section in hardware stores, so calming. It makes me feel just centered.
Truly, yeah. I remember, just all that jazz.
I wish I could do my therapy appointments in the lighting section of Lowe's.
The liminal space that is the lighting section of
Exactly.
Lowe's. Yeah.
Exactly. Take us away, Taylor.
So I'm going to be talking about everybody's fave topic today, which is dying. It's going to be real cheerful this time. So it's no surprise that capitalism, being the terrible system that it is, would prey upon the grief and the pain of individuals who have recently lost family members and friends to the great comrade in the sky. I was proud of that one.
Karl Marx.
Karl Marx, yeah.
He's up there.
He's up there. Karl Marx, God, show me the difference. From most of the info is from a few articles here, but from a Wired.com article, Randy Hinojosa had to pay nearly $15,000 for a funeral for his wife of 26 years that he lost due to COVID-19. He, like many other people who experienced loss during the pandemic, drained his savings account and turned to crowdfunding tactics to pay for the funeral of his late wife.
Fucking hell, dude.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. According
to the National Funeral Directors Association, it was reported in 2019 the average funeral cost was about $9,135.
Oh my God.
This did not include the cost of funeral spaces and grave markers or monuments. So that's just for burial expenses, purely burial services, I guess, are included in that too. Like if you have the funeral home hold the service and things like that. Yeah. So about just under $10,000 for
Jesus Christ
burying a loved one.
Yeah.
Cremation, which has often been noted for many years as a cheaper and greener alternative to burials, still averages about $6,645 per cremation. So I mean, even you're still looking at over $5,000 if you go with the cheaper option,
right?
Which is what most people. And that's for a long time. I feel like those were kind of the only two options that people knew were options. You know? Not only is the business of dying an expensive affair, but it also has its consequences on the environment. Burials don't just put human remains in the ground, but an estimated 1.6 million tons of concrete per year and 800,000 gallons of formaldehyde.
Oh, my God.
1.6 million tons of concrete.
I didn't even think about the concrete thing because they do totally line the graves with concrete so that you don't decompose into the earth.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Let's see here. Just for some perspective. So a male adult whale, blue whale, I should say. Sorry, weighs on average of 100 to 12 or 120 tons. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Is someone's quick math? 800 or 1.6 million tons. 100 tons for a blue whale. How many blue whales is that?
A lot.
A whole bunch.
Yeah.
Of blue whales being put into the ground in concrete every year.
Yeah.
Cremation, on the other hand, generates an estimated 534.6 pounds of carbon dioxide per person.
Oh.
So that's per person who is cremated.
Jeez.
So that's,
say that number again?
534.6
Oh, God.
of carbon dioxide. Yeah, so these are kind of horrific numbers of what we're doing to the planet that you don't even think about the funeral industry when you think about pollution, but it's a big thing.
Well, and it's a thing. It's when you're in the position of somebody who needs to make a funeral happen as like a person who's lost someone. Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't have the time or even the mental capacity to think about this.
Exactly.
You're just like, what do I do now with this person who's not alive anymore?
Yeah, and it's thrusted on you so quickly.
Oh my god, it's fucking insane.
Yeah, like the amount of times you hear about people who like, oh, my loved one passed away and they have like a funeral like literally the next week or something. It's like, that's an insanely fat, and I know like bodies decompose quickly, like don't get me wrong, but like that's a like an insane amount of time to have to make like these huge decisions, you know? Which is what we'll talk about a little bit more towards the end here. This economic condition of post-mortem expenses has coined the term professors and scholars call funeral poverty. Without having significant reform to the system, many families find themselves with maxed out credit cards and crippling personal loan debt amidst their grief.
Oh, God.
Nearly 3% of bodies are left unclaimed by the families of the deceased due to these crazy prices. Sheriffs, medical examiners, social workers, and chaplains will often be left to cremate or bury the remains themselves. So this is for, a variety. Not all of them, of course, are going to be necessarily like expense reasons. I think that's probably the largest factor.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are just grieving too much to like handle it, or the people might not have any family left. There's a variety of things, but again, 3% of all the people that die like yearly, that's a pretty big portion.
It is.
Doesn't get, taken care of. This obviously is a terrible situation for someone who is grieving the loss of a loved one and can't afford to give the proper respect and goodbye that I'm sure they would like to. The situation has only become increasingly worse and worse as income inequality and other factors have affected the nation, such as the pandemic, or there's a variety of factors that, of course, have, lent their hand to income inequality. But I feel like the pandemic was a huge one because we were seeing people obviously passing away at a higher rate, but also those loved ones of those people were out of work.
Right.
So there was like not a lot of things that could be done.
Right.
I don't know. It was crazy. For most of American history, people would often die at home, and members of the community would prepare the bodies and build the caskets to see their neighbors and loved ones off onto the afterlife. This changed around the time of the Civil War when soldiers began to die in far-off battlefields. Morticians at the time popularized the techniques of embalming so that bodies could be sent back to their homes and for their families to bury at that time.
Right.
Of course, this was more of like they made like an industry out of it, definitely. And the morticians made money off of this, but it of course wasn't anything nearly like what they do, are doing today.
Yeah.
But this truly was for the purpose of like, you want to see your son again.
Sure.
And we're shipping him across the country.
Yeah, we gotta
make
sure that.
Yeah. He's gonna you probably won't want to see him if we just threw his body in a casket and took him back to you,
Right.
So I guess I understand it to a degree there.
Sure.
The death industry, or big death, as people have come to call it today, is a $20 billion industry. This is comparable to the music industry and the meat substitute industry in America.
God.
These companies and services are known for unchecked prices and markups as high as 500% on caskets.
Holy fuck!
Like caskets alone. 500% more expensive to buy it than it was to make it.
Yeah.
As public sentiment on funerals began to change, the industry, or has begun to change, the industry has not. Cremation, which tended to be a loss for a company, for like a funeral home, because it like would cost more to cremate than it would to than what they could charge people for it.
Right.
Because this was a loss, the companies would oftentimes overcompensate by selling unneeded services to the victims, like pre-cremation embalming and expensive urns, which doesn't make any sense. Why would you embalm someone before burning them?
Yeah,
embalm a body?
No need.
There's no need, but these were like services that people were basically tricked into buying. They're grieving. Again, it's to say the least. Like, these people that are selling them this are being shady, but also they're preying upon people who are like in some cases having like the worst moment of their entire life.
Extreme emotional turmoil. And like you were saying, I mean, it's like you're having all of these choices thrust upon you like days after your loved one has died.
Yeah, it's rough for sure.
And I think a lot of people don't like I don't fucking know all of the like what to do with the decomposing body. Like, so you would assume, this person whose entire job is this would probably know.
Would understand.
And so you're grieving and you're like, yeah, I guess embalm my person before you cremate them.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is also in like the manipulation tactics of how they present like the things to you as well. Like, and we kind of will get into this a little bit more as well, but it's like, you know, if you're looking at like a list of urns, right? Like, oh, they're going to put their top shelf, high price one, top shelf urn.
Sure. Yeah.
On the fucking top, you know, and it's like, again, if you're in that kind of state, are you going to take the time to literally look through like this funeral home's selection of 75 urns to find like which one's the cheapest? Yeah, especially if they don't have the prices listed there and you're just going based off of like, this is really pretty, this was my loved one's favorite color, blah blah blah. Like there's a lot of like manipulation that goes on without like, again, it's like they're lying to you. They're not like necessarily lying to you, but they're like omitting the truth. Kind of that shit. Gone are the days of the mom and pop funeral services in towns and communities being replaced, and that they've been replaced by larger corporations who provide the services. Service Corporation International, which is a real A+ name.
Yeah,
I guess.
Like that sounds like something that's in like a Pixar movie.
Yeah,
it's
like a dystopian.
Boom, boom, this like big factory putting out like smoke.
Yeah.
Service Corporation International.
Is the largest funeral service provider in North America with over 1,500 funeral homes and 500 cemeteries on its books. This company accounts for about 16% of all funerals in the industry.
Jeez.
At least in the U.S., I should say. While capitalism would have you believe that a larger company would save people money, it is reported that services of Service Corporation International averages about 47 to 72% higher than competitors.
No fucking way.
And again, I mean, no, I don't gotta give you all a lesson on monopolies and why those are bad, but it's a monopoly. Like
Fully.
They are at least they're like an oligopoly, which is like a few companies that all control. So like they're gonna keep their prices high, of course, because they fucking own 16% of funerals.
They can.
Yeah, like why the fuck wouldn't they? I mean, unless they weren't evil, but
well, yeah, that's giving. That's wishful thinking.
Fortunately, though, you will be thrilled to hear, Phoebe, that the shareholders of Service Corporation International have reported a 151% increase in the stock in the last 5 years.
Well, you know what? I'm really happy for them.
So happy.
Congratulations, shareholders. So glad that you have seen a 100% increase in making money off of
150.
150 of making money off of people dying.
The pain and suffering of people. Truly the pain and suffering of people. Like its purest form.
Like it doesn't get more like this is the true pain and suffering of the individual than like
Christ.
You made money off of somebody's fucking funeral. You evil son of a bitch.
It's so evil. It's like that fucking meme of Mojo Jojo, and I think it's him from Powerpuff Girls.
Yes.
And they're like, that's the most evil thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And they're like crying.
They're like wiping a tear away. Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
So in the 1970s, the FTC, or Federal Trade Commission, instituted the funeral rule, which required funerals to give itemized, accurate pricing. However, in 2020, the agency's own undercover investigator found that nearly 19% of funeral homes they visited did not give adequate pricing information, proving that many of the funeral homes are consciously misleading the mourning families of the deceased people to maintain a monopoly on the industry that most people have such little knowledge about.
Yeah.
And
Straight
are
up.
not properly equipped to make this kind of decision on their own. Like you were saying, like we don't fucking know what goes into preparing a body, you know? Like it's like, how the fuck are we supposed to know? We're trusting this person and they are blatantly ignoring
like,
FTC guidelines.
Literally, like, yeah, completely fucking lying to you and overcharging you for disposing of your loved one's body.
And I think one of the things that is, I mean, one of the things that makes it the most slimy, I mean, it's all fucking slimy, but death is something that's an unfortunate, like, essential of life, you know?
Totally.
Like, at some point, everyone will have to deal with someone close to them passing away. Like, that's just a universal human experience.
Yeah.
So not only is it, like, they're preying on the pain and suffering of people, but they are preying on the pain and suffering of, like, people who will have to go through this at some point. It's like it's an essential.
It's a guaranteed moneymaker.
Exactly. Like, people are never going to stop dying.
Right. And people are always going to want to, like, honor that person's death in some way that you can charge them thousands of dollars for. Yeah.
And, you know, again, it's just by misrepresenting the pricing and the requirements of the actual burials.
Right.
Another key part of the problem, this is kind of what I was getting at earlier, is like the mental state of individuals that are making decisions for loved ones as well. Humans are sentimental creatures. Like, we love to hold on to little knickknacks and, you know, all the things that humans do that, like, don't, like, I don't know, in the grand scheme of evolution don't matter, but, like, they're important to us, kind of a thing, you know? And we want to pay, like, our proper respects to those of us who are no longer with us. This may cause people to make rash decisions without properly comparing prices or settling for whatever is offered by the funeral homes without asking or comparing prices with other ones.
Right.
There's like it didn't give like a statistic, but it was like most people will call a funeral home, arrange everything, and not think twice about it. Like, they don't look into other funeral homes. They don't look into other options.
Call and get 100 quotes, and like you don't have the time or the like mental capacity to do that. So you're gonna call the place that's like Google funeral homes near me, whatever's closest, and just go,
whichever one has like the most ad budget for Google.
Right, exactly.
So the government has attempted to offer some aid to individuals who are struggling to bury their family members. However, funds are not always accessible, and the reimbursements are often minuscule in comparison with the prices. Here's a fun little question for you.
Oh, no.
How much would you guess the average reimbursement is per person under these programs?
Oh, no.
So per deceased individual, which again, burials averaging almost $10,000, cremation just over $6,000.
Yeah.
How much would you guess the average reimbursement is?
Oh God. $1,000.
That's too high.
Oh,
it's
no.
$255.
Fucking hell. God damn it.
You pay $10,000 to bury a loved one, and you get reimbursed $255.
Cool. Yeah. And how that's so insulting. It's like you just have, you know, one of the most like traumatic and like sad experiences of your life, and then the government gives you this little, or whoever gives you this little check, and you open it up and you go, perhaps some relief.
No.
$255. Go buy a gallon of gas.
Jesus Christ. So yeah, and I wrote here, it's not surprising that a government that doesn't even provide adequate health care would fail to provide adequate death care to mourning individuals.
Well said.
So, myself, I wanted to go in and do a little investigative journalism, as I like to do from time to time.
Yes, our good sir.
And so I found a couple of websites here. I'm going to read through the what they offer. So the first website is discountcremation.online. So this is discount cremation.
Oh no.
This isn't even full price.
Oh God.
So there's simple cremation. This is our cheapest package. Service of funeral director and staff, filing death certificates, transportation of your loved one into our care, sanitary care, cremation in our private Kramer crematorium. This package right here is $695. So baseline, I mean, I guess that's better than 6,000, but again, that's basic package.
Right.
ID confirmation plus cremation, next package. Service of funeral directors and staff, basically all the same stuff, but preparation of your loved ones so that the small family viewing is respectful. That's what is included in this. Private family viewing limited to 10 people or for up to 20 minutes.
Oh. And
this is an extra $1,000. $1,694 is how much this one costs.
Okay. Also, ID confirmation. So that means
what it says.
We're making sure that we're giving you the right cremated remains. I'm making an assumption here, but I feel that that's what they're saying there is saying we've confirmed that this cremated remains is your person.
I mean, that's how they put it. So
it's like, that's is the $650 one or the original one?
Yeah.
You're not sure? You're not double checking to make sure this is Uncle Richard?
And so then the last package they have on here, well, okay, so we'll do two more. The next one up is funeral service plus cremation. It goes through basically all the same things, but it has additional preparations, a register book. So I assume like for people who show up at the cremation or the service.
Sure.
Embalming preparations, which again, you don't need for a cremation.
Yeah, nope.
Unless they're doing an open casket funeral and then cremating.
Yeah.
But even, I don't know. Whatever people want. But Cadillac, hearse, and driver for viewing and funeral.
Oh, Christ.
Dressing, cosmetics, and casketing.
1
day funeral service limited to 3 hours. So not a full day even, but limited to 3 hours. $3,999.
Oh my God. And this is discount.
This is discountcremation.online.
Oh my God. .online.
The last one they have here is a 2-day funeral service plus burial. So this might actually be a actual burial, not cremation, but goes through all the same things. I think this is, for an actual burial. So it's all the same things as that last one, but they bury the body instead of cremating it. $4,799. So we are hitting nearly the $5,000 mark.
Yep.
At discount cremation.
.online.
.online. Next one we have is Premier Funeral Services.
All right.
Just to go through it real quickly.
Yeah.
We got basic service, and this kind of like puts it, I think it itemizes it more. So this is like basic services of the funeral director and the staff. So this is like just the service cost is $595.
Okay.
Preparation of the body, and it says, it has a little disclaimer. It's like embalming is not required by law. Embalming may be necessary. However, if you select certain funeral arrangements, such as a funeral with viewing, if you do not want embalming, you usually have the right to choose an arrangement that does not require you to pay for it, such as direct cremation or immediate burial. Embalming, $700. Dressing, casket, and cosmetology, $150. Hairdressing, $50. Restoration, $100. Special care for restoration of autopsy, $350. Sanitary care of unembalmed deceased, $100. Use of facilities and equipment. And again, this is at like Premier. This is their specific location, I guess. Use of staff and equipment for funeral services, $350. Use of staff and equipment for viewing, $350. Use of staff and equipment for a graveside service, $350. This is all kind of the same. Private family viewing, 1 hour max, $350.
Oh my God.
Identification viewing, 1 hour max, limit of 3 people, $150. Shelter of remains after 3 days, $100. Refrigeration per day, $100.
Oh my God, dude.
Arrangement conference, $350. Mortuary cleaning deposit, $700.
Oh, yep. Okay. Which it's like, so every day that, you haven't chosen what yet you want to do with your person you loved who's just died, and they're in that refrigerator so that you can make a choice, $100.
$100.
Okay.
Transportation and use of automotive equipment. Transfer remains to mortuary, $350. Funeral vehicle, like a funeral coach, $350. these all wouldn't all be the same, but limousine or family car, $250 per hour. Utility vehicle, $350. Additional mileage charged at $2.25 per mile.
Yeah.
So that's like it's the baseline is like within a 50 miles of the service. So anything additional to that is $2.25 per mile. Forwarding of the remains to another funeral home. So if it goes here and then you choose a different one, $1,295.
Yeah. Yep.
Receiving the remains from another funeral home, $995.
Oh my God.
There's direct cremation says $650 to $2,945. I feel like I've kind of made my point at this point.
Yes,
like,
yes.
It adds up very quickly.
Yeah.
And again, like there was that little disclosure about embalming not being necessary, but then it was immediately followed by, but embalming is, may be necessary in certain cases and this and this. Like they very much want you to get the body embalmed.
Yes. Because that's a big moneymaker for them. When our culture, especially in the United States, surrounding death is so like just not healthy, I don't think, or like I don't know, it's just it's looked at in a very weird way that has allowed it to become this like industry, or perhaps vice versa, the industry made it become this like massive thing. And it's just there's just so much to it, like funeral and just what to do after somebody's died anyway, that's so like devoid of emotion or devoid of like compassion, I guess. Like the fact that it's like when somebody dies, you have to go get multiple death certificates to prove that this person is dead. You have to deal with their estate. You have to deal with all of their possessions. You have to choose what you're going to do for the funeral and choose what you're going to talk about at the funeral and plan out the whole fucking thing within days. Like, or
you can pay someone else to do it for you and pay an insane fucking price.
Right. That's the thing is, that it's like you're so overwhelmed and you're like, I would rather these people know how to do funerals, so I will just pay them to do the funeral.
Exactly.
And then they're like, do you want to do this thing? And you're like, sure. Do you want to do this thing?
Well,
I guess.
And then especially if it's like, okay, they offer you the prices, right? Like you've picked this funeral home, you finally see their pricing.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, that's the pricing. And you're like, well, what the fuck? That's way expensive. And they're like, okay, well, you can move it to another funeral home, but that's going to be $1,200 right there just to move it and probably get, all the charge. Even if this place is cheaper, you're going to have to pay all the stuff at the other funeral home.
Exactly.
Like, that's fucking so slimy.
It is. It's
gross.
Yeah.
But to end on a little bit of a positive note, an alternative to the normal funeral experience is what has been called or dubbed green funerals or natural burials. Recent reports show that about 54% of Americans are now considering green burials as an alternative to a typical burial and cemeteries have seen a 72% increase in demand for a more natural and eco-friendly burial. Choices can be made in every step of the burial process to limit the carbon footprint of typical death costs and actually improve the local ecosystem. Instead of expensive caskets that are covered in concrete, often with green burials, many deceased can choose to simply be wrapped in a cotton shroud and lowered into the ground. Families can decide to plant various shrubs and greenery on top of the graves as well.
Nice.
In addition to not putting a bunch of shit in the ground, it actually also helps with conservation. The land that a person is buried in is considered hollowed ground, and having areas with these burials taking place can protect the local wildlife and plant species from otherwise being destroyed for development or even the upkeep of a traditional cemetery.
Yeah.
And, I don't know all of the specifics. I'm sure that they bury them like deep enough that like animals aren't going to be like eating their remains.
Yes, yeah.
But I'm sure they have, again, like ways of doing this that are friendly to the animals and, the respectful to the dead.
Sure.
On top of all of that, green burials tend to be a lot cheaper when considering all of the costs that are saved on your typical expensives. The burial process itself costs about the same amount of money, but the fancy over-the-top expenditures are often left behind in favor of more minimalistic burial procedures. So, like, you know, again, if you're not doing the embalming, which as we like saw before, that was like $700, so it saves you that. Saves you the casket prices, saves you even the price of like if you're cremating like urns and just all of these things. So you're going to be seeing like a significantly cheaper price. It'd probably be like expensive, but less so.
Yeah.
Embalming also, interestingly enough, is not a required process, kind of as we heard before. It is purely done for cosmetic purposes and holds no actual benefit to the body after it is laid to rest. Often, actually, the body will dispose of such chemicals at a later time when they are flushed through the arterial system. Arterial system? Yeah, arterial. A lot of experts in the field also suggest that if a loved one is to choose to go the cremation route, that they consider a let your love grow product instead of simply spreading the ashes of the deceased loved ones. This turns the remains into nutrient-rich soil for a memorable flower or tree. This eliminates the impact that spreading ashes can have on a delicate ecosystem. So, you know, I think it mentioned in the article that like the Aspens is a place where people have spread a lot of ashes, and it has had some impact on like the nature there.
Yeah.
But yet again, they go through the process of turning it into nutrient-rich soil for these like specific things, so it's better obviously for the environment.
Yeah.
So there are ways that can do it. Again, I don't know exactly how this compares to normal funeral costs, but again, I think with the environmental aspect alone, like this is definitely something to look into more of.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, all that aside, if you bury somebody in the ground and they decompose, you have more space to bury more people in the ground.
Right.
Whereas if you're putting blocks of concrete in the ground, there's only so much ground.
Yeah, right. And as we discussed, people will keep dying.
Yeah, that part's not
people
changing
die
until we like figure out how to ascend past our flesh, our earthly forms, you know.
Our mortal vessels.
Our mortal sarcophaguses or whatever. Yeah, so that's big death.
Yeah. It's very evil.
Yeah.
So evil.
Like
so sinister.
One of the most like cartoonishly evil things I've looked into at this point.
Yeah. It's just
and
woof.
like again, you can't write this like service what the fuck is
it's like
it?
Service Industry Corporation or whatever.
Or no, Service Corporation International. Like that again, it's like you can't write.
That's like an evil company in a movie.
Exactly. Yeah, like that's like the fascist company in like a fucking movie. Like,
exactly.
That's probably what they called like the thing in like WALL-E.
Yes, totally. Right. Yeah. And it's just, again, like this culture is so weird with death, and and then religion plays a massive part in it, and
absolutely.
it's just like, yeah, it's just.
I mean, I think that's like a big thing too. Is again, like we're sentimental people. Don't want their in those times of hurt. I'm sure they're not like thinking about how like, oh, this impacts the environment,
right? Because you
like,
can't.
No, like you're just trying to get through the day, right?
Exactly.
Like, in some cases, so. And that's why I think a lot of this too, like what the articles were recommending is like if you have the ability to kind of prepare for these things beforehand, like whether you make like a will, last will and testament or whatever, these kinds of things, like if you can tell somebody about this, or even have it written down in your house, or like whatever, just like kind of your wishes. I think even just doing something as simple as that can help a loved one when they are faced with these decisions, to be like, well, I have their actual instructions and like kind of what they were wanting right here,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my advice, I guess.
Well said.
Thank you.
Well said, friend.
Anyway, if you want to see some pictures, Phoebe, where can I view some pictures?
You can view some pictures on Instagram.com @RemarksPodcast.
Hell yeah. You can tweet at us at RemarksPod. You can also check out my personal music. Phoebe mentioned it at the beginning. It's Taylor Lacey. My album is kind of political, but mostly sad.
And it's very good. You can also tweet at me personally. What the fuck is my Twitter handle? Isn't it
at Phoebe Elise?
I think it's Phoebe's Elise. Wait, let's make sure. Yeah, Phoebe's Elise. And Taylor's Vegetable Trash if you want to tweet at him personally.
So true.
What else?
Shout out to our patrons.
Shout out to our patrons.
We have Tere Soltero.
We have Justin Vass.
Andrew Vass.
And Emily Doran.
Thank you.
Thank you. And please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you so wish.
Yes, please.
That would be awesome.
We would appreciate that, and share it with your friends.
Yeah. Let your friends know about Big Cheese and Big Death.
If you know someone who makes things that require voice acting, let them hit up Phoebe.
Yeah, I think it would be fun.
Yeah,
I would love it.
Honestly, if someone did like a video game or something where there was like an evil corporation called Service Corporation International,
yes,
you would have a great like evil corporate slogan voice.
Yeah. Here at Service Corporation International, we put you first.
Exactly. Oh, it's too good. It's too good. But
voice people, hit me up.
Hit us up.
Well, thanks for listening, and okay, love you. Bye.